It's Thursday, October 20th, 2022. Make sure to watch the entirety of this video. I checked out a couple car lots today and a new housing development, and sharing a lot of the data and some articles today that I think you're going to find very, very important. Before we get to that clip, markets just closed a little while ago. Dow Jones down about 90, NASDAQ down about 65. The 10-year bond yield right now is sitting at 4.23. And earlier today, it almost reached 4.24, but right now sitting at 4.23 and change. Major sell-off in debt. The bond yield screaming. Something is going on. I find it absolutely amazing that the markets were not absolutely seizing up, collapsing today. The data that I'm going to share with you in housing, the consumer, it's just nothing but a red flag that we are in very, very big trouble. And the debt market is screaming out loud that something is broken. The sell-off in debt, again, 10-year bond yield at 4.23 right now. And I don't know what we're going to see later on this evening, what these markets are going to do tomorrow. Personally, I don't really care. The economy is broken. There are so many new homes under construction right now that are going to sit with mortgage rates hovering around 7%. I don't know what these builders are going to do. The car lots are filling up with cars. Right now, 10-year bond yield 4.232. Yet markets didn't even seem to care. They're just ignoring the danger. So stay tuned. Watch the rest of this video. Please comment down below. Love to know what you're thinking. What's it looking like in your area? Are you beginning to see the collapse taking place in your areas? Are you seeing now the ramifications of this inflation, of all the money printing? We're talking nearly $7 trillion dumped into the economy, and now it is running out. And we are in for a major, major meltdown. Prepare for meltdown, ladies and gentlemen. This thing is going to get so bad. It is going to be such a wild ride, and so many people are going to get wiped out. Prepare the best that you can right now. Avoid debt. Get out of debt. Do not get into debt. You know, they say the best way never to get addicted to drugs, to never become a drug addict, is never, ever try drugs. Do not get yourself. Do not try debt. Stay away from it. Avoid it like it is a drug. Stay away from it, because so many people are addicted now to debt, the credit cards, and now they are debt slaves. They are 100% reliant now on credit cards to survive. They didn't listen years ago when you and I warned everybody that this was coming. And this day of reckoning is getting closer and closer and closer. If you think it's bad now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Stay tuned. Check this out. A beautiful Thursday afternoon. And as I make this video today, I'm just reminded that nothing else matters other than the sell-off in the debt market. As I make this video, 10-year bond yield sitting at 4.216, and the cars are piling up. I just drove by a couple lots here, and this is a Kia lot. Lots of brand new and used Kias on this lot. And it's about 85 degrees, 86 degrees today. Gorgeous day. Nobody out here kicking tires. Lots of cars and no buyers. And this is beginning to become a real problem now, where the auto dealers couldn't sell cars fast enough at these overvalued prices. Now the buyers have disappeared, the buyers are broke, and the lots are filling up with used cars. Not so much with new cars, but the lots are definitely filling up with used cars. And this is a brand new dealership here that opened up probably in the last 60 days. And they have a pretty deep amount of cars sitting on the lot. So where do you think all this is going? I think that we're going to see a lot of sales coming to the auto market, but the real concern today is the debt market. 10-year bond yield, 4.216 as I make this video. Very, very concerning. And this is going to spell big trouble. And yet the Dow Jones is down about 100, NASDAQ's down about 75 last I checked. These markets should be getting rocked right now with that bond yield skyrocketing. And at some point, these markets are going to collapse because the debt market is so big, much, much bigger than the stock market. And people are selling off. They're selling this debt and getting out. Now, there was an article today that I was reading on, I'm going to turn around here, on CNBC. And reading this, I can't even understand how the market is only down 100 right now. It could close up 100. I don't know. The market's open for about another hour. The Fed is not coming to save you, ladies and gentlemen. Do not expect to pivot anytime soon. This article titled "Fed's Harker Sees Lack of Progress on Inflation, Expects Aggressive Rate Hikes Ahead." This is the Philly Fed President, Patrick Harker, saying that what they're doing with rate hikes is not enough and that more is to come, that they're going to have to get more aggressive. He's disappointed that it's not doing it, that it's not doing anything to inflation. So they're going to have to raise more aggressively. So it's very hard for me to see the Dow Jones only down 100 as I make this video after the Philly Fed President, Patrick Harker, comes out and says that they're going to have to get more aggressive, that he's disappointed that the rate hikes that they've done have not been enough. Again, the Fed is not coming to save you. They are going to destroy this economy. He said this: interest rates have done little to keep inflation in check, so more increases will be needed. We're going to have to keep raising rates for a while, the central bank official said. Progress has been disappointing. I expect we will be well above 4% by the end of the year. Think about that. It's things going to get really, really bad, and you really got to be preparing. You really got to be preparing, ladies and gentlemen. I think the average person just is oblivious to what is happening. This would literally be like speaking Latin to most people. You understand what I'm saying. You're preparing, and these are the reasons why, because we're plugged in to what's happening. And this is the only way you survive this storm, is being plugged in and knowing what's coming. There's the Ford lot. And they are pretty deep with cars. So we'll walk by that. In the meantime, I want to share another article that came out today on CNBC. Existing home sales fall to 10-year low in September as mortgage rates soar. We're hovering right around 7% on a 30-year fix. Sales of previously homes fell 1.5% in September from August. Average rate, as I said, sitting right around 7% on a 30-year. Get this, previously or existing home sales down 23.8% year over year. 23.8%. Absolutely incredible. You know, I was watching Fox Business, and I'll just turn over here, take a look at the inventory piling up here at Ford. They rolled out a real estate broker on Fox Business this morning, and she wanted to assure all of us that we're not going to have a 2008 housing crisis, that the buyer today is in much better shape, that the people that bought houses back in 2005, 6, and 7 that caused the 2008 crisis, they couldn't afford their homes. Well, today, when you have real inflation at about 20%, 20 million people can't afford their utility bills. 1 in 4 aren't going to be able to celebrate Thanksgiving. Everybody now, not everybody, but literally a majority of this country is dependent on credit cards to pay for essentials. She doesn't factor that in. She just believes that since we don't have as many adjustable rate mortgages today, that we had better qualified buyers this time around. which is true, but the economy is so much worse off. We are now witnessing a collapsing economy. We are heading into a depression, and she didn't realize that. She just thinks that, well, since people are taking out adjustable rate mortgages at the rate that they were back before 2008, that it's not going to be that bad. When you're paying $6 for a gallon of gasoline, when you have 20% real inflation, when you have 44 million people on food stamps. When I went to Winco the other night, the cashier, the checkout woman told me 75% of the people coming in the store are using government subsidy, some type of food stamp to pay for their groceries. This economy is so much worse. The debt, 31 trillion versus 10 trillion back in 2008. The deficit's running out of control. Everything is so much worse off now than it was then. You can't even compare it. And things are so much more overvalued now. But the inflation is going to be the killer here, and raising rates heading deep into this recession, into a depression, completely different than 2008. I believe it will be much worse. But they always want to tell you how much better off the consumer is now, although we know, you and I know, the consumer is broke. We know that the consumer is hanging on by a thread. But, well, those people couldn't afford the houses back then. Now they can. Well, if you don't have a job, if your savings has been destroyed by inflation, if your day-to-day life, your standard of living is being destroyed by inflation, how long can you keep on paying the mortgage? And another thing she didn't mention is the 15,000 cars a day being repoed in the US to tell us how great the economy is and how strong the consumer is. These people always want to sugarcoat things. And of course, they're in the business, so they always have to sugarcoat it and tell you that everything's okay. In fact, today's the best time to buy a house, they'll tell you. Let me give you some advice right now, and I don't usually give a lot of advice. Do not get yourself into debt. Do not finance anything. If you can pay cash, don't take the cheap money, don't take the financing. You pay cash and you walk out paying for it outright. No reason to carry debt when you don't have to. If you can pay cash for something, why financing? Well, the money's cheap. I'm getting it at a low rate, or 0% financing for 12 months, 24 months. Pay it off today. Do not have debt. Don't owe anybody a dime. Owe no man anything. Now, of course, there's times where you're going to have to finance something because you have to. But if you can live without something, if you can pay cash, pay cash. If you can live without it, don't buy it. Do not finance it. Right now, do not buy things you don't need, or things that if you can live without it and you don't have to take on debt, live without it. Here's another article today. Turkey slashes interest rates by 150 basis points despite inflation at 83%. This can happen right here, America. This can happen right here. The lira is down 50% against the dollar in the last full year. Think about that. Their currency is down 50% against the dollar in the last full year. You know how they got to this point? Because they print it and print it and print it and print it. And this is exactly where we're heading, ladies and gentlemen. And I bet you the people in Turkey never thought that this could happen to them until it did. And now it's too late for so many people. Got a Raptor there. Got a new Bronco right there. Mainly all used cars here. All those Super Duties sitting out in Kentucky rotting away in the Kentucky sun at the Kentucky Speedway. They're not here. And the scary thing is, as I'm walking by these dealerships, there's nobody on the lots looking at cars. It's incredible. I'm gonna switch gears here really quick. Jobless claims dropped to 214,000. And you would think that that's really good news. Let me tell you, that guarantees 110% in November, 75 basis point rate hike. And it goes right back to what the Philly Fed president was saying. They're not getting the results that they wanted. They wanted to see unemployment numbers rise. And now we have less people filing unemployment claims. Now, the data could be completely wrong. It could be deceiving, which is very possible because it's very hard to believe a lot of this data now when you look at what's happening to the economy. So maybe they are manipulating the data to get this outcome to justify more rate hikes. Very possible. What do you think? Do you think that this is legitimate? Do you think that only 214,000 people will file first-time jobless claims last week? Or do you think it was more? Are they playing with the numbers so that they can justify more rate increases by telling us that the consumer is doing well, the consumer's strong, consumer has money, the labor market is tight, everybody's working, so we're going to go ahead and raise rates because we believe that the consumer can handle it? I don't know. I find it very, very hard to believe. But again, watching the economists out there, the real estate brokers that they have on television, looking at the jobs data, it's very hard to believe a lot of this stuff. Let's talk about oil real quick. This was on the Hedge this morning. Forget oil. The real crisis is diesel. Inventories in the U.S. have just 25 days left. Wholesale diesel is sitting around $200 a barrel. Diesel is the workhorse of the global economy. Think about it. You need diesel for those trains, those locomotives, for the big ships that transport cargo. You need diesel for vans, trucks. Many of these Ford work trucks all run on diesel. So it's so important. And what we're doing to our strategic petroleum reserves, to our diesel supplies and our diesel reserves, this is unbelievable. Think about how dangerous this is as a country to be running out of fuel. And you think about, what we're seeing geopolitically, wars across America, what's happening with China and Taiwan, what's happening in Russia, Ukraine. And America is definitely losing a lot of friends. And in doing so, we are vaporizing our fuel reserves at the worst possible time. And it's very, very scary to think about the chance of something happening and how weak America is right now. Our infrastructure is aging. It's extremely fragile. Just our technology is so fragile. And then you think about how we're burning through our fuel reserves. Let me run across the street here really quick. We're burning through our fuel reserves so people can save a few cents at the pump. That's not what those strategic petroleum reserves were intended for. They were intended for emergency use. So here's an article from The Hedge. Cargo traffic at LA port plummets. Trucking firm warns of 2008 style slowdown. Retailers are canceling orders left and right. They ordered too much during the health crisis, and now they are loaded. Those warehouses are loaded with inventory. Consumers have changed their spending habits. It says here in the article that they went from, buying big screen TVs and electronics to going to restaurants. They'd rather have a steak than a Peloton bike. This is really going to hurt retailers, and this is happening at the worst possible time as we come into the holiday season. This is very unusual, as we would see shipping and trucking pick up. Well, the shipping rates, those cargo ships, the rates have been plunging, and now trucking companies are seeing the same thing, that there's not as much to ship, and shipping rates are coming way down because everybody's loaded with inventory. All the retailers are loaded. They have nowhere to put it, and they're worried that they're gonna have a very difficult time unloading the inventory that they have. So it's gonna be a very, very interesting holiday season. Right across the street from the car dealership, look at this. This is literally walking distance. Look at this. This is I believe the builder here is Pulte. There are houses going up as far as the eye can see. And as I make this video today, rates hovering right around 7%. 7%. Who's going to buy these homes? And I don't have the pricing on these homes, but I would gather an upgraded home with nice upgrades here is going to probably run you in the mid 5s. I'm in North Indio. Now I might be wrong, could be high 4s. I'm going to say it's probably about mid 5s. Who's paying, who's qualifying for 7% for a house in North Indio at $500,000? And they are going up everywhere. Look at this. They're framing a bunch of them right there. There's lots graded right there. I mean, it's just incredible what is taking place here. And there's more houses on the other side of these houses. We are heading into something, ladies and gentlemen, that we have never seen before. And these people who say, well, it's not going to be as bad as 2008. I believe, my opinion only, I don't have a crystal ball. I believe that what we are heading into is going to be much, much worse than 2008. I think we're going to compare it more to 1929. Not 2008, because there's just so much more broken now as far as the debts, the deficits, the massive inflation, the global debt now exceeding $300 trillion. And there's just no direction. Nobody has an answer now how to fix it. Let's not forget, we have this inventory crisis. We have a food crisis. We have a fuel crisis. We have so many crises, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot compare this to 2008.